We're in Lisbon, about to go get some bagels, and this is our view.
I'm meeting my friend Emily here, who I actually met studying abroad in Rome. We were randomly paired together on a global fashion marketing group project, and we've been friends ever since.
Just be on the outside. Okay, Emily is trying her first test out. Not bad. Is it good? It's so good.
We only had a couple days in Lisbon before we headed back to Porto, and since this was Emily's first time in Portugal, we had a lot of ground to cover. Lisbon is the capital of Portugal and the largest city here, so if you are coming to Portugal and looking for a big city vibe, definitely start with Lisbon, and make sure you pick up a cute ceramics piece while you're here, especially since Portugal is known for their ceramics. Next time you're at Crate and Barrel or Williams-Sonoma, check the bottom of the plates, and it might be made here. There is not a shortage of cute shops in Lisbon. They're around every corner in every neighborhood, so you don't necessarily need to go to one specific area to find some cute shopping that's really scattered throughout the entire city. Like any walkable European city, prepare to walk a lot, but in Lisbon, prepare to hike a lot because the hills here are seriously no joke. Take breaks when you need it, but highly recommend you walking on an incline, specifically 12 through 30, shout out Lauren Geraldo, to prepare your body for the just casual inclines you will be walking. Literally anything you want to be doing will require a steep incline, so if you are not prepared, prepare yourself. We stayed in the Príncipe Real neighborhood. It's a little bit quieter than the typical neighborhoods that you would stay in Lisbon that are closer to the main area, but I think it was a really good vibe for us. We were looking to see as much of the city as possible, and in order to do that in the short amount of time that we had, we decided to book a tuk-tuk tour with the tour guide that Adam and I actually did a tour with when we came to Lisbon back in 2023. His name is Pedro, and he drives this little red tuk-tuk, and it was the best way for Emily to see as much of the city as possible, get behind-the-scenes looks at how pastel de nata is made. We got to go to the birthplace of it, which is in Belém, and see how each of the pastries are individually hand pressed before they are filled with custard. We couldn't leave empty-handed, so we ate our fresh pastel de natas at the Tower of Belém and then headed back into the city to finish up the tour. Fun fact, Lisbon is the third oldest city in Europe, so there is a lot of history, a lot to learn, and Pedro is a really great person to do that with. Not only is he born and raised in Lisbon, but he has been doing these tours for a very long time, knows the streets like the back of his hand. He's a very safe driver. There's only 2 people that can fit in it though, so make note of that if you're interested in taking a tour with him. Because the city's so big, we can only really choose a handful of neighborhoods to see, and because we are already in the Baixa area a little bit, we decided to choose the Belém neighborhood and Alfama. Alfama is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Lisbon, and it is notoriously one of the most hilly, so that is why we strategically chose it. Plus, since it's on the complete other side of the city than Belém, we were able to cut through the Chiado and Baixa neighborhoods a little bit on our way over. Right under this archway is where Feria de Ladra takes place on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's a massive flea market, so make sure you go early and bring cash. If you're interested in booking a tour with Pedro, I'll drop his information in the description box. I highly recommend booking a tour with him. Not only is he super passionate about the city, but the tuk-tuk definitely saves your feet for the next couple days. And just like that, it was our last day in Lisbon. Before we checked out of our Airbnb, we got some breakfast, and then we put our bags into storage lockers at the train station. Bring coins if you're looking to do this. I repeat, bring coins. I will say though, it is a little dangerous to put your bags away and then go shopping because you're like, oh, I could always just carry more, and then you have more bags on top of the bags you're already carrying. Buses and trains run very frequently between Lisbon and Porto when they're not on strike. I will say buses are a little bit cheaper than trains, but it's really nice to time the train with the sunset for a perfect welcome. This was one of the first moments that Porto truly felt like home since we moved. Lisbon's great, but there's nothing like Porto. We rented a car while Emily was in town just so we would have the ease and flexibility to show her areas outside of the city, plus we knew that we wanted to take this leg of the trip at a much slower pace than we did Lisbon just because she had been traveling a lot, and it was a really great time for her to catch up on sleep, hang out in our neighborhood, and have super casual nights in.
Bom dia.
Bom dia.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde. Boa
Welcome to
tarde.
Porto.
I honestly didn't record a ton of content from the first couple days of Emily's time in Porto just because we were laying low, but of course we had to do a walking tour with João where she got to see all of the best spots of the city. We were gearing up for Emily's birthday the following day, so we went to a Mexican restaurant since it's her favorite cuisine, and ours too, that we've been greatly missing since moving. This one was pretty good, and then we headed back home so I could sketch a little something that was going to be tattooed on Emily the following day to commemorate this birthday trip. I tried to find the most American breakfast, and then it was time to get a tattoo. I still couldn't believe that Emily wanted my work to be tattooed onto her skin, but her believing in me really made me want to believe in myself more, because I've had a lot of hesitancy around pursuing anything artistic for lack of legitimacy, but now I have my work permanently tattooed on one of my best friends. So thank you for trusting me with this, Emily, and I hope you had the best time in Porto celebrating your birthday. At this point, we were just about at the 5-month mark of us living here, which is crazy to even think because in that moment, I still felt super stagnant and unsure about what I was doing. Something that really helped shift my perspective is that we were in the middle of an extremely transitional period of our lives, and we still are as we are adjusting to living in a new country. We went from having no familiarity with anything to things starting to feel familiar, starting to develop routines with people at local cafes, becoming regulars at places, and it was really comforting to know that we were starting to make a home for ourselves here and be more established within our community. At the same time, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm still eating the same variation of my yogurt bowls in the morning. They just look a little bit different because there's different offerings at the grocery store. The looming feelings of constantly having to be productive is something that I am learning to unlearn because life just moves at a much slower pace here, and as an American, it's really easy to be used to having everything convenient at our fingertips whenever we want it, but here things just happen when they happen and you just have to get used to it. A sense of urgency that I always felt within my day-to-day is something that doesn't really exist as much anymore. I still feel it internally, don't get me wrong, and that is big in part due to my generalized anxiety that I have coursing through my veins, but we're working on it. Journaling is really great for that. I'm still the same person that I was when I was living in the United States. Wherever you go, there you are, but being in this new environment has given me a lot of great perspective, which makes me feel even more fortunate to be able to pick up my life and move here given everything that's going on in the United States and around the world. This year marked 50 years since Portugal's liberation from dictatorship, a powerful reminder that that wasn't that long ago and that peace is something that we must keep fighting for. One random Monday, the power went out across Spain and Portugal. No cell service, no electricity, nothing. It was also unseasonably warm, so we just put on our shoes and walked over to Joao's place. We couldn't even text him to ask him if he was available. It felt like we were in middle school going over to someone's house for a play date, but luckily he was, and we were also lucky that nothing serious was infected by the outage, so we ended up just walking all the way to the ocean. Having a forced technology unplugging was great and honestly made me realize how much I need to do that more. We were fully off the grid, and it was also a really good reminder to always have cash on hand. We saw some local businesses make IOU lists, and buses were even free. Safe to say we made the most of the day.
Power's back! Just kidding, we're back off now. Everyone is booing in the streets.
Things went back to normal. I started cooking more as we started to get these local farmers baskets. We finished Game of Thrones, which, justice for my girl Khaleesi, and we began to usher in the spring season. A super cute Portuguese tradition is to hang these flowers called maias on the door as a way to ward off evil spirits and bring good luck in the new season. Remember these for later.
Absolutely crazy Friday night we're having right now.
Okay, you got me. I'm not the most social person in the world, but I have been going to events that are outside of my comfort zone. We have made friends from all around the world, and it's always so fun to hear what their American references are. They're like, why do you have so many ingredients in your food products that aren't food products? Are they just chemicals? And I'm just like, yeah, help. I will say that Adam's naturally occurring IBS has improved a lot since moving here, and my nails have been growing at a crazy fast rate. Could be the food, could be the water, could just be the vibes. As spring picked up, tourist season started to pick up, so our walk routes turned out to be a little bit more crowded than usual, but it was always fun to walk into the more touristic areas of the city just to see what's going on. Porto really isn't that big of a city, so even though we don't live in the Baixa area, which means downtown, we can still very easily walk to everything from our apartment. I started to become more consistent with practicing yoga, not just for exercise, but also to connect with the community and build new traditions for myself. Speaking of traditions, I got to experience one of Porto's most beloved university celebrations. If you didn't know, Porto is a huge university town, and fun fact, Harry Potter was actually inspired by the city. This celebration is called the cortejo académico, which is a parade that wraps up a festive week at the end of May that marks the end of the academic school year. Students wear top hats and carry canes and colors representing their field of study. They run down a hill, march through the city, and then end at a fountain, ultimately celebrating academic achievement and new beginnings. Universities from all across the country participate in this. It's not just Porto, so it's a great time for local politicians such as this one to get the word out. I really love getting to be a part of Porto's traditions, even if I'm just watching from the sidelines. Immersing myself within the local culture is something that's really important to me, especially being actively present within the community rather than just recreating my past life in the States. Before we knew it, it was time to clean out the fridge and head to Lisbon because a very special guest was coming to visit us. Garbage can review.
Really nice, very creamy. As you can see, it's been consumed. It's a mess, but it was pistachio and dark chocolate. Do you want the last bite? What's going to say?
That looks like a big turd.
Come on.
Exploring at night is the best because there's no one out, and especially in these spring months where it's chillier at night, you can actually walk these hills and not be fully dying and sweating. So it just feels very safe, I will say. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
About to see my mom since we moved for the first time. It's May. Not seen her
There she is.
since January.
Seeing my mom for the first time was definitely a bit emotional, but it felt like no time had passed at all. Being away from family has been one of the hardest parts about this move, so seeing her definitely brought some feelings to the surface and made me realize how much I really missed her. Her and I have actually already been to Lisbon together. This is where we met after my study abroad. So we didn't need to do all the touristic stuff. Instead, we just walked around the city, did a little shopping, and got ready for a fun day trip. Shout out to TAP Air Portugal and United for having direct flights from Chicago to Lisbon. This is making my life so much easier. I know you did it just for me. What do you think?
Honestly, the pickle is the first thing that's like, it's a Middle Eastern pickle, for sure. And it's like kind of dominating the flavor because I've gone upside down with it. Perhaps if bite 2 is right side up, it'll be different. But
Okay, bite 2.
remember,
It was our last full day in Lisbon, and we intentionally made this part of the trip short so my mom could maximize her amount of time in Porto. So we of course had to go to Sintra because that was the one place that my mom and I did not get to go to when we originally visited Lisbon. It's roughly about 30 minutes outside the city, and we decided to take a tour with a local guide who had a car so we could see the area without waiting in lines or just killing our feet on the hills. Ricardo knew all the best spots to see all the landmarks, and the weather was perfect to drive around with the top down. If you only have time to go to one spot in Sintra, definitely make it Quinta da Regaleira. It's a beautiful estate that was built in the early 20th century. It includes a palace, a chapel, and extensive gardens full of fountains, grottos, and winding paths. What makes it unique is the symbolism that is everywhere. There's Masonic motifs and mythological references, all designed to feel mysterious and magical. The views are straight out of a fairy tale. It's no wonder that Portuguese royalty used this area as a retreat. One of the best parts about doing tours with locals is their passion for the area. Ricardo was psyched to show us all the different corners of Sintra and couldn't wait to take us to the coast. The sandwich was unreal, and I cannot find the name of the place for the life of me. When Adam and I first came to Portugal together, we actually hiked down to this beach. It is like a 30-minute hike and it's pretty treacherous, so if you plan on coming to it, I highly recommend it. It is so gorgeous, but definitely don't wear flip-flops. We covered so much ground with Ricardo and really got to show my mom the various landscapes of Portugal, and we ended in Cascais to have dinner. If you're interested in taking a tour with Ricardo, I'll drop his information in the description box below. I was super excited to bring my mom back to Porto, but honestly a little bit anxious because I really wanted to make sure that she loved the city as much as we do. In planning the trip, I wanted to make sure that she was not only seeing the city through the eyes of us, people that live here in our everyday routines, but also see it as a tourist, as this is the first time she's ever been to Porto. So naturally we had to plan a day trip to the Douro Valley. My mom is a really big fan of red wine, and the Douro Valley is actually one of the most diverse wine regions in the world. Plus, starting this part of her trip in the Douro was a good baseline for understanding Porto, as wine from this region is a really big part of what makes the city what it is today. Our first stop was a small family-run winery where we had lunch and got a little tour of the property and also did a tasting. Lunch was incredible. It felt like a genuine home-cooked meal, especially because it was in a traditional Portuguese kitchen. It made me really miss Adam's grandma's cooking. While it's most famous for port wine, the Douro also produces high-quality dry, red, and white wines. Whites often come from higher altitudes with cooler climates, while reds thrive in warmer, lower terraces. And when I say terraces, I mean those shelf-looking things that are built into the side of the mountains. Those are actually where the vineyards are. They were carved into the earth, some of them centuries ago, and still to this day worked mostly by hand. It's basically winemaking extreme landscaping. We went to 2 wineries on this tour, the first being a little bit more intimate as it was one of the oldest family-run estates, and this one, Croft, is actually one of the oldest port wine houses still in operation today. It runs on a much larger scale, catering to a more global market, producing a few million bottles per year. In case you didn't know, port wine has a higher alcohol content than regular wine. It's fortified with brandy to stop the fermentation early, preserving the sweetness and boosting the alcohol levels, so the rich flavor masks the taste of alcohol. Lightweights, beware. Oh, and remember the flowers that everyone hangs on their door? That's them. What better way to introduce my mom to the city than to do a walking tour with João? After all, this was the way that Adam and I got introduced to the city a couple years ago, so it was the best way to show my mom exactly what we saw when we came and visited. We hit all the must-see spots, weaving in the hidden gems, and of course my mom had to try the infamous bifana because she was not allowed to leave the country of Portugal without trying one. If you're unfamiliar, think of it as a Portuguese Italian beef, but instead of beef, it's pork. At this point of the trip, I was capturing less content and trying to be more present to soak up every moment with my mom as the days were drawing to a close. Obviously had to take her to Cafe Kiwa, and we actually had a really big moment because my mom is notoriously not a matcha drinker. But after taking a sip of mine, she insisted we go back so she could try her own.
It actually went down. Oh my God.
Cafe Kiwa has officially converted my mom to be a matcha girly. Don't worry, it's not performative. I feel so lucky that my mom is able to visit us, and I'm already looking forward to the next time that she comes, especially as Adam and I continue to settle into the city. She is the one that instilled my love of travel, and I'm so grateful that she can come experience our life here firsthand. It's hard for both of us to be an ocean away from each other, but she has been supportive of us throughout the entire process, and that truly means the world to me. Having multiple days of uninterrupted time together is something that we never really had, even when we lived in the same city. I'm really excited for all the future travel that we're going to do together, wherever that may take us. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments below. Before we knew it, it was my mom's last day. We had to have sardines as our last meal before saying goodbye, which is hands down the hardest part.
Jenna needed some cheering up, and it was a holiday weekend back in the States, so I planned a road trip, booked a car, and of course got her chocolate milk.
We have been wanting to explore more of Portugal, especially the north since it's right in our backyard. Our first stop this weekend was Barcelos.
This municipal building had 2 towers, so naturally 2 clocks, one of them being 24 hours. Most of these artifacts weren't originally from this site, but placed here during the dictatorship. Still fun to look at. The city overlooks the Cabo River, which you'll actually see the beginning of in a later clip in Esposende. But if you follow it eastward, you'll hit our next stop.
At the top of Monte Espino sits Bom Jesus de Monte, a famous pilgrimage site for people who are into that sort of thing, or people who just like going to the tops of hills to have a look around. The stairs represent the ascent to heaven, which makes sense why this is one of the most popular religious destinations in Portugal.
When I have to pay rent.
It seems every time we go somewhere in Portugal for a weekend, there happens to be a medieval festival going on. Braga was no different, as we happened to arrive just in time for the Romana festival, which celebrates the city's heritage as a Roman settlement. There were different types of vendors and artisans, and we enjoyed some traditional Portuguese food as well.
Yoga has been instrumental in getting me out of my head and becoming more present. Sticking with it has been good practice for me to consistently show up for myself, and the proof is in the pudding because it's definitely been helping with my anxiety. The community that has come with it has been such a bonus. We've met people from all different backgrounds and have even started to form friendships with a few of them out of class.
Alright, so we're back on the road, and this time we're headed south. Our first stop was in Costa Nova, a colorful seaside town, famous mostly for its striped wooden houses. They were originally built by fishermen to store their equipment. Maybe they were recognizable from the shore. We were on the hunt for tripas, which is kind of like a bigger, squishier cousin of a crepe. If you head inland, you'll find the Venice of Portugal, aveiro. The boats that line the canals were once used for harvesting seaweed, later to be used for fertilizer. Also used to be a big place for salt production.
So for those who have made it this far, this is our unwanted roommate, but also very helpful roommate who lives in our skylight. What should we name him?
It's Memorial Day and we are headed to a ceramics wholesaler / warehouse. We're waiting for them to open up. They close at noon and then they reopen at 3. So we decided to stop at a little beach and we made sandwiches before we left. We're gonna eat them now and yeah, it's gorgeous.
This ceramics wholesaler is about 45 minutes outside of Porto and everything is priced by weight, so it's safe to say it was very dangerous for me.
There's so much good stuff in here. vintage store that we were gonna go to is closed, so on to the next.
We popped back over to Braga to hit up a couple vintage stores that were closed last time we were here. Vintage shopping is one of my favorite activities. It's something that Adam and I both love to do, and we've been slowly collecting pieces to make our home feel a little bit more like us. We've been in a perpetual state of change, and I've been trying to learn how to find comfort in the discomfort of getting acclimated to a new country. As much as I love to travel and explore and experience new places, I am a homebody at heart. It's the Cancer in me, but I have been making a concerted effort to go out and find places that feel like home. Shout out to Cafe Kiwa, and I'm really looking forward to all of the new places that we will continue to explore in Porto and the memories that we will make in our apartment with our friends.